Before we get to the charts, I'm going to talk a lot about market correlations in this video. And if you want more information, we got a free ebook. Put the link in the description of this video. And it is a very in-depth breakdown of why we care about these correlations, how we can utilize them to glean information, and ideally, how it can help us profit. Hello, cannabis and psychedelic friends. We're looking at the sector on the charts today. It's a rainy Saturday. The chill is in the air. It's robe season. So we're looking at SPY, and we know the broader market is key, as always. And essentially, two things are going to happen. I go over the broader market more in depth in my market videos, but just touching on it briefly, there's only two things that happen for September, in my opinion. We either confirm a weekly trend change, and everybody's going to start talking about all-time highs again, or we fail to break the recent high, we break the low of last week, and we're going to be talking about fresh fear lows. Those are two very different things. So we have to watch daily for new information to be given to us to help us determine probabilities of which is more likely. We will not break that resistance level, in my opinion, unless we can confirm a daily trend change. So this move is coming off the low. Great end to the week for the bulls. Nice 3-day rally, absolutely. We reached a point where everybody that was going to short after Powell spoke did so. Everybody that was going to sell long did so. And so we were left with only people covering shorts and longing, and that's why we're bouncing. So the big question short term is, once we top out on this bounce, which we're going to be watching for Monday or Tuesday, can we then set a higher low and higher high on the daily? If we confirm a daily trend change, the probabilities that we can confirm a weekly trend change will increase a good bit for me. If we can't confirm the daily trend change, we're not going to confirm the weekly trend change. So in the next few days, first half of this week or all this next coming week, that's the big question. Can bulls confirm a daily trend change? Obviously, if the broader market is showing strength and confidence, it's going to benefit these sectors that we're interested in. If it doesn't and fear returns, it's going to negatively impact these sectors. And again, I'm not predicting as to which is going to happen because I don't know. But I will know more after Monday's trading, and I'll know more after Tuesday's trading. That's how I approach trading. More information that will shift my perspectives. So starting with Canadian cannabis, CGC is holding on all right. Obviously, there's a lot of volatility in both directions, but we saw this move off the low from $2 to $4, essentially 100% move off the lows, and we never confirmed the weekly trend change. We know that's inevitable if we're going to see follow through. Same thing with the broader market. Essentially, we did what the broader market did. We bounced when it bounced. We topped out and consolidated when it consolidated. The difference is the retracement size here is a lot healthier. This is a 50% retracement, meaning we gave back, and I do that by pressing Alt-F, we gave back half of the bounce at this point. And if you look at SPY, we gave back over 60% of the bounce at this point. So if CGC can get over 430 from here, that's the first confirmed weekly uptrend that we've seen on CGC since 5650. And since we got absolutely decimated over a long period of time. So that would be notable to us. And we saw MSOS, which we're going to talk about in just a moment, confirmed its first weekly uptrend since all-time highs a couple weeks ago. The question is, can CGC do it as well? Daily time frame for CGC, decent little bounce here. Anything under 426 is just a lower high for me. And pretty much it's just the broader market bounce saving things here, because we had our high, pull back for a daily higher low at 328. We failed resistance by 4 pennies, and then we broke support. And fortunately for the bulls, we broke this 328 support right when the broader market bounce started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So essentially the broader market bounce saved from bear follow through on that break. But it's the same thing as SPY. Once this move tops out within the first couple of days this coming week, most likely, we then look, can we confirm the daily trend change? If I want to be an aggressive bull looking for a weekly higher low, I'm looking for an entry on a daily higher low, maybe making a couple entries and putting my stop under 315. Because if 315 breaks at this point, the probabilities that the bulls will be able to confirm the weekly trend change will drop significantly. I know I just rattled that off very quickly. If you're new to technical analysis and that doesn't make any sense and I'm speaking a different language, make sure and check out our YouTube channel, free intro to technical analysis course, 7 years of content, all different topics. Explore the playlists. The information is there. And you can learn the language as well, and we can be on the same page. A lot of people have been watching me for the last 5 years since CGC's glory days, and so we're on the same page. But it takes time and effort. TLRY is one of the weaker names on the Canadian side of things. Generally, I'm watching so many sectors in the market, I only stick to a couple names in each sector. So for me, I'm just watching CGC as a stronger Canadian MJ bull and TLRY as a stronger Canadian MJ bear. If the market is showing me a red day, I'm looking to short TLRY. If the market is showing me a green day, I'm looking to long CGC. One way to visualize that relationship, CGC divided by TLRY. This is an uptrend pretty much since the start of August. This means that CGC has been gaining in relative strength against TLRY for the last over a month, 5 weeks. That may change, but until it changes, that's the relationship and how I'm treating these individual names in the Canadian MJ sector. I don't really pay attention much to the other names at this point. ACB is very similar, but I'm sticking with the extremes. VFF is weakest. VFF dropped down to a lower low. So for me, that is a lead Canadian MJ bear because we topped out on the bounce and we hit the lowest level in years, or at least a year plus, a couple years, and no other major names did that. So again, CGC retraced 50%, VFF retraced 100% of the move and then some to hit those fresh lows. Cron's worth keeping an eye on. I like this pattern here just for visual clarity. The bear breaks are lacking follow through. And again, we've got the space to try and set up a daily trend change back to the bulls. The reason I don't trade it is because it only trades $3 to $4 million a day, and TLRY can trade $100 million a day, and that's just way more liquidity and trading opportunity and comfort. $50 million a day is more in line. No, $75 million a day is the average. Big difference. 4 million, 75 million. So again, aggressive bulls are going to be watching for the daily high or low and have to confirm the trend change for the weekly high or low to be set. MSOS. So we already have the weekly uptrend. The weekly uptrend was set when we topped out. We set the higher low at 1096. We set the higher high at when we broke 13. We have to be cautious because if we lose these weekly higher lows, it's a possible monthly bear flag. We can't rule that out. If the broader market fails the weekly trend change and breaks the low of this past week and heads back to our fear lows, this can be a monthly bear flag. In my opinion, pending any surprise news event, the broader market's going to dictate whether we continue to bounce off these lows or whether we roll over, which is why I'm always talking about the broader market because those correlations dictate everything in the absence of volume spikes dictated by fundamentals. We got a break in that correlation recently, and what's the reason for that? Some rumors about safe, those always don't hold up very long. Also, the potential that one of the ETFs, I forget which one off the top of my head, I forget if it's MJ or who it was, but one of the ETFs expanded to include US operators, and so that was a significant amount of dollar volume. I forget how much exactly, but I think double-digit millions, and on these thinly traded instruments, that definitely has an impact. Either way, the bullish correlation faded. And again, same thing to watch the correlation. I go to MSOS divided by SPY. How are we trading relative to the S&P 500? Here's where the dollar volume was coming in, and we showed relative strength, and there was excitement and hype, and maybe safe, yada yada. And now we're seeing that fade. So again, for me personally, I am beyond the point of speculating about fundamentals in this sector because it has served no beneficial purpose in the last however many years. And so for me, it's just straight up, I know there's votes coming. I know there will be media attention around that in November. That has me interested. And until we see actual progress and high probabilities of things passing, I'm not speculating. It's just I've had enough of the headlines. Eventually it'll be a boy cries wolf situation and it'll be real. But the amount of times it hasn't been real is just not worth it for me to try and trade around that or incorporate that into my decision making. So MSOS on the daily, weak bounce. We just saw that the broader market bounced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We were red Wednesday, we were red Thursday, and we finally got a bounce going Friday. But I'm just keeping it simple and watching our lower high, lower low, and if on this current bounce, if we fail to break 1320. It's just another lower high. The bulls have to regain a daily uptrend if they're going to shift this momentum, because right now we have a bearish correlation to Canadian cannabis. We got a bearish correlation to the broader stock market, and that short-lived bull momentum that lasted 4 days has certainly faded a good bit. As far as the individual names are concerned, GTBIF clearly standing out above peers. This is a potential bull flag still, and I condense it down. If I go to the 2-day time frame, it's nice and contained consolidation. It's low volume. It's minimal retracement. Minimal retracement meaning, again, CGC retraced 50%. GTBIF has not retraced anything near that. If we're going off of recent lows, how much of this move have we given back? Compared to 50%, we've given back maybe 20%. Big difference. So this, out of all Canada, all charts, all MJ charts, GTBIF, at least all the major ones that I look at, is currently positioned the best with how it is consolidating after that breakout. And again, even just looking at MSOS and the difference here, once this bull move took off from the August 22nd low, how much have we retraced? 75% on that pullback, whereas GTBIF from August 22nd, how much have we retraced? And again, this is just a way that I visually compare names. Which name do I want to be in? Because I don't care about the fundamentals, who's got more revenue. I don't care about that. I care about who is stronger on the charts. And so retracement of 50-55% versus 75%, again, just a lot stronger than MSOS. And if I want to visualize that another way, GTBIF divided by MSOS shows me if we're in an uptrend, it's stronger. And it has been stronger, notably stronger, we'll say for the last month. So easy lead bull, GTBIF. Curaleaf, still chopping around here. The break of a triple top of 646 saw zero follow through. Not a good sign, ideally. You want to break resistance and follow through. When you break resistance and pull right back, that's when we look for wedges. And a wedge is a potential, I'm not even going to draw it on this. You know, a wedge is a potential, a rising wedge is a potential bearish reversal pattern. But honestly, technical analysis on these OTC names is much less trustworthy than something that has a lot of dollar volume and liquidity. This is just typical OTC candles. The fact that we gap down and we have, you know, a big green, it's just a low amount of volume that allows for painting the close. You know, I used to watch trading groups back in the day when I was trading penny stocks who would save a portion of their capital and in the last 30 minutes would all buy to ensure that we close as strong as possible to try and then be able to hype up after hours like, hey, look how strong this close was. It's a different trading environment. And for me, I trust technical analysis less on it. And this is someone who trusts technical analysis a lot in my trading, but I got to keep it real. And so OTC and technical analysis are not the best match. This doesn't have a ton of clarity for me. I can condense it down to the 2-day time frame if I want. And I can see that we're still forming higher lows. We came from 479, 515, 555, 564. If those higher lows are lost, it's definitely a red flag for the bulls, but they are holding for now. CRLBF needs to see a shift in this momentum. Again, it's doing the same thing as MSOS as far as when it went up and when it's pulling back. It's just a bit different in how it's shaping up. So next time we bounce, I would call anything under 445 a daily lower high. Bears would love to bounce, fail 445, and then confirm a daily downtrend. And again, on a lot of these OTC names, I do find more clarity with the trends and the higher lows and higher highs aspect when I condense it down to the 2-day time frame. Anything above 338 is a higher low. TCNNF. So again, we're in a weekly uptrend, but it's just, if you're ever feeling FOMO in the sector, just zoom out to the monthly chart. Like, oh, did you miss the move? Not really. 11 to 15, that's a nice move. 35, 40%, absolutely. But zoom out if you are feeling FOMO, because it is just a speck of what we've seen over the last year plus on this pullback. Long-term time frames are my anti-FOMO. Same thing, choppy, unclear. 2-day time frame, anything above 1201, I would call a higher low. And if we just want to keep it simple, we've got to break the recent highs to see uptrend continuation to have any further confidence. And in my opinion, if this sector is breaking recent highs, again, in the absence of some surprise news, if this sector is breaking recent highs, that means to me that the S&P 500 is showing multiple weeks of strength to get back to its recent high as well. VRNOF, potential inverse head and shoulders. So if we hold 475 and break 719, that'll be the first weekly uptrend ever. This has never been in a weekly uptrend in its history. And so it's trying to change that. Must hold level is $6. Break $6, red flag that we could potentially fade back the majority of this move. On to psychedelics. So psychedelic sector for me, there's a lot of penny stocks out there. The ETFs still don't have enough volume for me to care about them. PSIL, volume was increasing. That's a good sign. But even at its peak, the average volume here is something like $300,000, which for me to even open my eyes and look at it, I need $1 million a day, bare minimum. That's just my personal trading criteria. And I know whenever I post these videos, people love to give me their best penny stock that's the star of the sector. And it's just, again, I have rules. As a full-time trader, I have rules. And if you don't meet my criteria, I don't trade you. And so it's nothing against your best penny stock in the world. It's just not meeting, it's not on my radar because it's not meeting my criteria. Dollar volume is key for trading liquidity. CMPS is, I'm going to group the names that I follow in names that have sustained uptrends on a longer term time frame, and then the pump and dumpers. And for me, pump and dumps, it's almost like a little bit of an infection. It's a tainted chart now. Just knowing, I mean, we'll go right into it. MNMD, great pump, but it's a dump now. And it's tied to BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond, and it's tied to Reddit. And that helped, that benefited the bulls. They were able to lock in profit on that spike, but it was very short-lived. And again, just a quick synopsis, it was, some young dude with parents' money, whatever, made a bunch of money in Bed Bath & Beyond, and now they've got a stake in MNMD. And so market makers and retail use that to their advantage in extended hours to shoot the price up on really low volume. And looking at the chart, we can clearly see they cashed out. I don't know if he specifically cashed out, but I just mean that it was a short-lived move and bulls locked in their gains. So weak bear flag bounce right now. There is a double bottom at 795 and 804, but if we break those levels, we're back to the lowest levels in multiple years. And again, it's a tainted chart for me. I just can't treat it the same. It's not the same for me because it has that social media aspect to it. So I became a lot less interested in MNMD. First, when it started showing us relative weakness, potentially leading into the reverse split. And then again, once the pump turned into a dump, just way less interested. And drug is the same. Again, there's opportunity there. Don't get me wrong, but it's a pump and dump as far as I'm concerned. If we can hold these lows, I mean, if 152 breaks, it's another win for the Bears. And then we're just looking back at the lows in the 1-teens, this base of support, but just no follow through. Nice fast spikes, bulls taking the money and running. So the names that have uptrends, CMPS is battling to try and hold weekly EMA 12 here on this back test. And again, I would call anything above 830 a weekly high or low. If we form a weekly high or low here, that favors continuation. That's very healthy. If we fall down and break this triple bottom of support at 15, then that weekly consolidation then starts to become more significant, and it then creates space for the next time we bounce to form a weekly lower high. So if we form the higher low here, we can see continuation as a higher probability, but if we see another leg down, it's then that much more difficult. So I can look at this chart on the daily time frame for CMPS and say, I know that volatility is very likely to come this week. How can I say that? Because you can only get tight to a certain point. And we got 5 trading days this coming week. Can we trade 5 days in this sideways range? It's possible, but I don't think it's the most likely scenario. So if we drop back down and break 15, it's a win for the Bears in the short term, following through with daily downtrend continuation. And if we get a bull break of double top at 1660, That's a win for the bulls, and then it's 17.26 behind it. But the one good thing, I haven't been playing this name recently. Bulls have had opportunities to bottom fish where, we drop down to 15.13. Say you make an entry at 15.25 and you put your stop under 15, you're risking 25 cents, being aware that there's slippage because a lot of people are going to use that $15 stop loss because it's so clear. 3 bottoms, everybody's watching it. But let's just say I'm risking 25 cents there, and the move up from 15.25 to 17.25, 25-cent risk, $2 reward. That's 8-to-1 risk reward. And again, bounced off 15.09. Let's say I enter at 15.25. We move up to 16.60. So same thing, 5-to-1 reward versus risk. So that's what we call a bottom fishing play. But just waiting for this tightening range to break, which it should do this week. And watching closely, because if it's a bull break, that weekly consolidation does remain healthy. ATAI is a little bit weaker overall. Weekly time frame, looking for a higher low, anything above 351 to try and keep the uptrend going. Daily chart, anything under 496 is just a lower high. We have to regain a daily uptrend for any confidence. And again, I look at the bounce Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I compare it to SPY. I compare it to Apple or NVDA or the rest of the market. And it's just not comparable. It's just weaker. It's not a convincing bounce. We're not closing at the high of the day. We're not seeing much notable follow through. So I just see some relative weakness there that has to shift into relative strength to get my interest. So that's where we stand. Feel free to ask any questions. Hopefully this was helpful, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Do good things.